Hello, lovely people. Hopefully you are all doing pretty well during these crazy times. It's kind of been weird to film videos recently, and a lot of what I'm doing is just small day-to-day structure-like stuff. Lots of just lovely cups of coffee, and then cleaning the kitchen, pulling out my planner. I've been using things around my house for stuff, like I have a bottle of wine that is a brand called Moon X that I got from Trader Joe's, and I've been using one of the empty bottles as my moon water collector. It stays in my window to turtle up, and then I use that to water my lovely plants. Lots of just like small little things like that that I'm finding within my craft and my magic to do. And one of the ways that I've been keeping my structure quite a bit is with my planner. Now, with all of that, I noticed at the very top of all of the months, I have been putting the card of the month from my year ahead draw that I done back in October. And looking back now, I remember being extremely confused by my year ahead draw, being like, there seems to be a lot of very interesting cards that pop up. What does this mean? What does this occur? What could this entail? It was very confusing, and I couldn't really quite put a finger on why those cards were so intriguing to me, the ones that have popped up when they did. But now with all this craziness in the world has now popped up, I thought we would maybe do a little like discussion of those. So and I wonder if you guys noticed something similar, like if you guys did a year ahead look ahead to the to 2020, or even from, I always do mine from Samhain to Samhain. Did you notice anything that was interesting, or you know, something that intrigued you that now is making more sense with the whole quarantining COVID-19 thing? So for the month of March, I had the 9 of Cups. For the month of April, I have Strength. For the month of May, I have the Page of Wands. For the month of June is the Hanged Man. The month of July is the 5 of Swords. And the most intriguing to me was 3 of Swords for the month of August, with a clarifying card of Justice. And these cards as the theme for each month are extremely intriguing, because when I first looked back at it, I will link below my pulling of that spread and kind of my thoughts and stuff going on with it before, and feeling intrigued by quite a few of those cards. They were very interesting to poke at. The Strength card for this month has been extremely applicable, reminding myself of, you know, inner strength, of that, you know, from the heart comes our power, our, you know, fortitude to endure so many things, and reminding myself constantly of that, paying mind to care for that and make sure that there are the things in place so that can remain, has been a constant focus with this month. And it is really when I started doing that, with, you know, making sure that there were habits in place to do that, to keep that strength of, you know, meditation, taking a lot of quiet moments, allowing the world to slow down for me, even when I want to like constantly distract myself. Instead, it's more of just, no, letting that slope. That's what I need to have that inner strength, to have that ability to, you know, not feel overwhelmed and not feel the thing of guilt, to worrying about health and worrying about all my family members, just the world at large, as we all go through this very weird time right now. I would also like to mention to everyone who in my last video commented down about my family members who had been hospitalized because of COVID-19. Thank you so much for all your wonderful wishes and thoughts. It was very, very sweet to read all of those. I can happily report that all of them, 2 of my family members were hospitalized. I don't want to give up too much information because, you know, their privacy or stuff, but 2 of them were hospitalized. The other family members of theirs that had also gotten it, they all were able to just recover at home and everyone is doing very well now. So much good blessings with that, and thank you again for all the wishes. Everyone's doing much better. So when dealing with the stress of that, the strength of heart is like, that strength card to pull for this month is just so apropos, and like it just makes so much sense that that would be the card. Moving forward, the concept of the Page of Wands going into May is intriguing to me, especially because I always look at wands as with more fire element intrigue. I know some people like will switch wands and swords, so it'll be, for me, swords is more air and wands is fire. I know some people will switch those because up for debate, but for me, wands is always fire. Idea of like passion, creativity, that drive, that oomph to like go and do a thing. And the Page of Wands, you know, that kind of like that starter, that like, yeah, let's go do the thing, is intriguing to me, especially as everyone's kind of talking about, I don't know, like attempting to possibly open things up or go into a new normal, those type of things. It's very, I feel like there's a lot of ideas, whereas we kind of, at least for me personally, I feel like I very much was like just like letting things happen to me in the month of March, you know, just like processing as I went. This month has been much more about making sure that strength, that inner strength, is cared for, that the things that I need in place to have those time to meditate, slowing down time, as I said earlier, you know, taking my time with things, a clean space, time at my altar, you know, just really giving my time space from family, even though I've been talking to them more, you know, allowing myself the alone time I need, even though I am pretty much isolated all the time. But I don't know, who else has been like an introvert who suddenly finds themselves, instead of, you know, going a few days without talking to a lot of people, like filling their time with constant conversations and finding that extremely draining. Like, it's a weird thing to me where I finally had to put a rule with my family members, specifically my immediate family members, my mother, my sister, my father. I'm pretty much FaceTiming them and speaking with them almost on an everyday basis, and I definitely have felt the urge to, I'd change that now to an every other day thing as opposed to an everyday thing, because between them and then friends and then other family members, cousins, aunts, uncles, and, you know, just keeping up with as many people as I can. Sometimes there are some days where I literally feel I don't have a single moment to just be with my own mind, because I'm either FaceTiming, talking to someone on the phone, or, you know, in some sort of conference call for work, you know, with coworkers and stuff. It is like a non-stop communication, and I don't have time for my own thoughts. And so giving myself that true 100% alone time to be with just myself has been pretty integral overall. And so I wonder if you guys have felt the same at all. Like, I know a lot of people are like, oh my god, I feel so isolated. And I just, you know, there's such a push, I think, in a lot of the conversations happening right now about how to connect, how to reach out to other people. And it's very interesting where I felt a little guilty at first, feeling the need to pull back, but then realizing, well, no, even if I compared this to all this stuff before the pandemic really, you know, changed our way of life so much, I did not talk to people this much. That was not a thing. That is one of the main ways I've become really overwhelmed, is because I haven't had time to really process my thoughts. So I kind of wonder if there will be a lot of, if this is kind of like the creating of the new acceptance. I am feeling like I'm accepting a little bit more of, you know, instead of it being a struggle or a pain, it feels a little more natural in a weird way of being in this mode, right? Like the mode is becoming more, I don't know, just less of a friction in the idea of spending so much time just in my apartment, of not being able to leave, of not, you know, things are just feeling a little more like they're settling in for this month. And with that, I wonder if the more new ideas, whether that's with adjusting to a possible different normal as, you know, things come up, or is it going to be more of just a new way entirely, creativity? Is there going to be a burst of creativity from me next month? Is there going to be a burst of creative energy in general? Like, that is an interesting way to look at. And I'm kind of having things on two, weird spectrums, you know, whether it's that things like we lock down even further or if things start opening up. What I will do personally and what I feel is appropriate is I'm kind of giving myself two modes of like two ways to go down. Like, here's the crossroads, which way will I turn, how will I adapt, is allowing myself the room to play with that in my mind and really give myself like option A and option B. Somehow like allows myself this illusion of choice even though so much of it is like, because so much choice has been ripped away from us, right? So I feel like the Page of Wands might be speaking to the idea of a creation of a new way of looking at certain choices, a new way of operating in a sense, and that is interesting. June being the Hanged Man, especially since, you know, that will be my birthday is June 16th. I am full on Gemini, so normally Gemini season comes along and I'm like, yes. And it's also a huge month of change for me. It is a month where even though I'm like kind of doing a little celebratory thing and not really like intending to lean into change, I do make major life-changing decisions a lot of times within the month of June, whether that's deciding to move to Portland or deciding to start a new fitness and health option, deciding to commit to being a witch. There's a lot of things that I've done always within the month of June that is like the start. It is the decision is made, the option is kind of cemented in my mind, and I always do gain a lot of new perspectives within the month of June in general. And the idea that not only do I just naturally do that, but that the Hanged Man is my June card during this crazy time really makes me wonder what new perspective I will be gleaming overall, because how have our perceptions of things in general changed already? Like, I don't know about you, but my whole way of thinking about what is necessary, what I look at and value within politics, within my family unit, how I communicate, how things, you know, so many things of how I just look at the world in general have drastically changed. My perspective has totally done a huge flip on so much stuff. And so to know that that would be highlighted or even put further in within the month of June, which is a very changey time for me normally anyway, is extremely intriguing, and definitely something I will be looking into even more. And then we have Five of Swords, which is, this is really where a lot of the alarming stuff starts to come up in my head. A little bit of what does that mean? The concept of being able to walk away from a conflict where I feel icky, you know, whether the concept just this, there is no good option, makes me really wonder if that, at first I thought that would more so apply to, I had the original instinct of my career, which now within this concept of what is happening in the world now is slightly a terrifying thing if that was my original intuition mark. So I definitely wrote that down, be like checking on some things. There are definitely a lot of financial moves that I have made to attempt to add some stability to my life, which is good. You know, just a lot of just cutting back on all expenses, like so many I'm sure are doing already, you know, just anything a little extra of frivolous here or there. It's just, it hasn't been totally eliminated, but it's definitely been like really pulled in, and that allowing me to just create a little more of a cash cushion in case of things. And seeing that and kind of reevaluating that makes me want to go even further to make sure that that foundation thing is there in case anything were to pop up. It also makes me wonder if does that apply to my vision of looking at the world at large in stuff, or does it go, you know, to something else? There's this concept of this disagreement of how to move forward. Does that apply to my career? Does that apply to the world at large? Does that apply to, you know, just there is no good option, I think, is kind of how that is going, regardless of how I feel. So that's intriguing. And then finally, the whole concept of the Three of Swords in August. The Betrayal card is, originally I was very linking that to a romantic sense, the idea of that if I am, or a friendship sense, it was very much of I was suddenly cautious or worried of feeling betrayed by a person very close to me. Since then, the relationships that I thought that might apply to have totally fizzled out and disappeared. With being some with the pandemic, some not with the pandemic. You know, just things fizzle out when it's starting and there's romantically bye-bye. Then friendships and other things, it's interesting to me how fortified a lot of my really great friendships have become. And when I pulled the clarification card of justice as that, I remember being so confused. The idea of like me being betrayed and seeking justice, or me like wanting justice or getting justice, or me betraying someone and there needing to be justice brought on me, is all very intriguing concepts, and I just didn't see how they could apply to any of my romantic or familial or friendship relationships in any way. It just, something ringed off to it. Like it just didn't feel right as I thought about it within that context. But thinking about the context of what we're currently within, feeling possibly betrayed by our society, our government, seeking justice in that way for how things have been handled or mishandled, is definitely intriguing, and something I think that is way more applicable overall. I could see, depending how things go, I've always been pretty political. I definitely like to engage with politics. I think it's extremely important for me personally to be informed and try to do whatever I can where. And this has kind of only highlighted even more of how much directly politics really does have an effect on my life. And somehow, like, that's the instinct I'm getting for that something in August is going to feel like a deep betrayal. Something in August is something that I'm gonna want to get justice for. And I have a feeling it's like not just me going to be feeling that. Like it doesn't feel personal in that sense, but it feels like it's going to be a personal, like, you know, when it's not personal but it feels personal. Like you could acknowledge that but still know that your emotions are like all tumultuous and I feel like that's what it's gonna be, something to do with that in the world at large. Something's gonna, you know what I mean? But that's just my current feelings and my current interpretations of how it possibly could evolve with the cards that I pulled for the year head spread. Let me know in the comments down below how you guys, did you pull a year head spread? Have you been using tarot to kind of look into different things going on and how to handle stuff better? Are you extremely cautious with doing that in general? Also, just, I feel like this is kind of maybe a bit obvious, but just in case, you know, disclaimers always. Everything I've talked about within this video is, you know, this is my personal year ahead spread. So it's my personal feelings, my personal investigations with my energies in the world around me. Even though I'm feeling that they are starting to apply to grander things beyond me, it is not my predictions for how things are gonna go. I don't even think tarot really necessarily 100% works that way. I feel like fate, if it's even a thing, and the decisions in the future are all very fluid and loosey-goosey, and things could change at any freaking minute, all depending on all of our decisions. So yeah, I don't think there's like a solid thing that I can like tap into. This could be totally off and wrong based on just how things evolve and go. This is not a predictions video. I'm just letting that out there. But anyway, I hope you guys are all doing well. Stay safe and healthy in any way that you can. And I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.